Thank you. My name is Seth Owens, an HRC Youth Ambassador. I'm 18 years old and was raised in Jacksonville, Florida. I recently relocated to Washington, D.C. to study government and African American studies with hopes of working as a juvenile defense lawyer. My journey Thank you. My journey to Georgetown, however, was a rather rocky one. It all started late one night in my sophomore year of high school while writing a paper. My father searched my phone and found a private photo of me kissing my first boyfriend. It was the night before a big test, and my parents drilled me until 4:30 in the morning. They asked question after question after question. I was not allowed to leave the room, get fresh air, or shower. I felt so devastated and exposed that I couldn't even answer their questions. My dad began to yell, and my tears just would not stop. My parents made an appointment with a Christian counselor to begin so-called conversion therapy. Once there, my parents entered the room and described this stranger everything they despised about me, focusing on this new revelation that I thought I was gay. The worst part at the time was hoping it was work, but seeing absolutely no progress. Instead, it was only painful and disheartening. Eventually, the conversion therapy ended, and I went back to pretending that I was straight so that my parents wouldn't have to deal with my sexual orientation. I started working 3 jobs to avoid the sight of home. I remember driving down my parents' road and bursting into tears because I knew I had to put back on my mask. So I sought refuge in school. I leaned on my educators and friends who held this 6'4" giraffe up. There were times I would vent to them in their classrooms or walk into swim practice soaked with tears. They were always there, and they always had their arms open wide. I am forever in debt to my educators and friends. That would not be the last time they saved my life. In my senior year, my parents' church began preaching hateful messages that I ardently opposed. I urged them to allow me to go to a different church, but was denied. When I pushed harder and refused to attend, my father said, "Biblically, we have the right to stone you for what you're saying." I was devastated. They gave me an ultimatum. I could attend their church or move out. So I packed my bags and moved out of my childhood home. I couch surfed for a while and ended up moving in with my best friend and her family. I finally felt at home because I felt comfortable enough to be my authentic self. After all those years of hiding behind a mask, I felt so liberated. However, I was about to hit another bump in the road, a rather large one. I was accepted into Georgetown University, but my financial aid package was based on my parents' income. I simply could not afford to go or get adequate loans on my own. Devastated, I turned to a former teacher. She started a GoFundMe, trying to raise $20,000. I was blown away when it reached $2,000. But I'm proud to say, because of the networking and dedication of my teachers and mentors and friends, the GoFundMe closed at over $141,000. It was a rough road getting there. I had to tell my personal story to complete strangers over and over and over again. And during the criticism of many, it was awkward, it was weird, but it was worth it. I was contacted by so many people thanking me for my courage because it made them comfortable enough to be themselves. It even reached beyond the LGBTQ+ community. There were people contacting me saying that they were inspired by my courage to stand up for what I believed. That made it all worth it. I was so proud to have helped at least one other person. But I couldn't have done it without my teachers. There was a moment that will forever be embedded in my memory. The day after I was forced out of my childhood home, I contacted my core group of teachers to let them know what happened. They were all in a meeting together, but they took the time to make sure I was safe. I just imagine them getting called on by their meeting director for being on their phones and them replying, "We have to make sure our kid is okay." The feeling I had that day reassured me that I was not homeless. They, along with so many other people, opened their homes to me. That was the moment I knew they loved me unconditionally. That was the moment I knew I had a chosen family. Now it's my turn to give back. With a generous donation from the Ellen DeGeneres Show and the kind support of so many around the nation and around the globe, I was able to start the Unbroken Horizons Scholarship Foundation. Its mission is to ensure that youth of all backgrounds have the opportunity to further their respective educational journeys so that they may then tell their personal stories and make lasting social change in the world around them. This journey of mine has been a difficult one, yet it's been a beautiful one. I have met so many inspirational people that have made me feel loved and cared for simply by their hugs and kind words. I've been in a long battle with depression and feeling comfortable with my identity. It's definitely not easy, but because of my teachers, mentors, friends, and every member of my gorgeous chosen family, I am able to be here today. Trust me, it's often the smallest things that make the biggest difference. In my wallet, I carry a note written by my 9th grade biology teacher, Jane Ramsey. I was having a bad day, and she stuck this note on my desk, and it said, "I love you. I can tell something's wrong. I'm here if you need me." She's the one who started the GoFundMe. She's always had my back, and to this day, I carry that note around in my wallet for inspiration and for strength when I need it. So I'm urging you to reach out to a student who you think might be struggling. Ask questions. Listen. Hold someone in your arms when they have tears in their eyes, and most of all, don't give up on your students. Have their back. Be there for them. Risk it. Risk it, because you might just be saving their life. With that in mind, I am so excited to introduce the next speaker, a loving mother and fervent advocate for LGBTQ youth, Sarah Cunningham. Let's take a moment to learn more about her family.